You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, my name is Jewel and welcome to our Virginia home. My name is Jewel Marlowe and I am an interior decorator and designer in the Northern Virginia, DC area. We bought this home about 11 years ago. We lived in it for a few years, moved away on a couple military assignments, my husband's Air Force, and then we moved back. And when we moved back, we realized that this has the potential of being a home that we stay in for a very long time, if not forever. So at that point, we decided to make it a home that felt like us and to make it more personal. So it was basic in every sense. Kind of this really soft beige everywhere, 90s kitchen, orange oak, and nothing that was like wowing you when you walked in. But my style is glamorous, colorful, and eclectic. And it was time to infuse a lot of that into this space. So this is the foyer, and I believe that the entryway to your home should be kind of a sampling for everything else that you're about to see. So I've used the same colors, a lot of blues and greens, and an eclectic mix. This was a very boring, this is a common theme I keep referencing, very boring foyer when we first moved in, but we've added the molding. It really extends the height of the ceilings and gives you something visually to really look at as you walk in. I'd like to draw your attention to the chandelier above, but also to the balloon from yesterday's birthday party, because we're keeping it real. We have some art here. This is an artist named, I have to look this up, Jessica Mortiz. She's from Israel. I really appreciate that. It's representing our time during COVID, how it just felt like a time lapse. I think we can all relate to that. And so time is just endless. So that was a little memento that will always remind me of that nice time that we were together so much, but also never seemed to end during COVID. So on the door here, I have used spoonflower fabric that I had customized, custom colored and scaled so that it had this kind of waterfall marbly effect. And it's great, like I mentioned, it has some of the same colors that I'm trying to reference throughout the home. Painted the door green, and then I have this vintage piece because it's a little bit chinoiserie, and I love things that are old. It just brings depth and character to a space. I've had these installed because they're from France, and I got them for my birthday a couple years ago. So from the entryway, I have direct views into the kitchen, which is great, except that it's not if you have a mess in your kitchen. So I knew that the kitchen was the thing that you see when you walk in. It had to be special. So what I've done is installed this beautiful Cambria countertop, black and white. It was a bold choice, but also I'm hoping that it wears well with time because it's black and white and it's a timeless color choice. We have this koi or dolphin koi table below, which adds a lot of charm and character. We have some Serena and Lily chairs that are probably the only kid-friendly fabric in the whole house, if I'm being honest. And what's interesting about this, there used to be a 90s railing to the next room. So we removed that, we built a built-in bench, and we scooted everything this way a smidge. That way we were able to extend our island as well, which has been great. We use the island for all sorts of daily activities, homework, cooking, all the things. So we have moved a lot. I think it is around 13 times in 19 years, which is probably about 12 times too many. But it's okay. We have loved the experience. We've loved living in different locations. And I think that has helped to really shape my style because I don't feel constrained to one style or one era or one decade. It's this rich evolution of time and space and the blending it all together that is truly probably the reason that I decorate the way that I do. So I'm really grateful for each of those moves and those assignments. From there, we move towards the living room. And I wanted this to be a very restful space. There's a lot of warm light. We have skylights, we have windows all this side and some there. So it's great for that warm afternoon light. But because of that, I was able to balance it with this really beautiful blue color. This is Farrow Parma Gray. I've installed a mural. This is the Sarza store out of New York, and installed molding with it because these are taller I think they're about 12-foot ceilings. I needed something with presence to really draw your eye into this room. I didn't want just a big blank wall. Over here we have, well, this is fun. This little, sometimes people are scared by her. I kind of like her. She was picked up at a thrift store as we traveled across the country in one of our moves. Here we have an original piece from a local artist named Laura Gunn, and some Scalamandre drapes, an eclectic mix of things that are collected over time from England and different assignments, minted art there, a vintage map. Love vintage maps. I think they're very intriguing, especially when they have some age like that one. To me, the secret to mixing vintage pieces and new pieces together is to be consistent. So if one area of the room has something very old and mixed with something new, then the next vignette, if you will, should have kind of the same amount. I don't want one room that feels very modern and then the next room next to it to feel very old. It's a blend of the two. And as long as you're consistent and own it and feel like, hey, I'm really good at this, I'm gonna pull this off, then it doesn't matter if it's eclectic. I picked up this chair at an estate sale and reupholstered in Stroheim again. Some tripod chairs, a postmodern contemporary coffee table that my movers dropped in the last move. It's okay, I'm still not over it, but it's okay. And then some more burl as an accent feature on this wall, and some books, just because it's really a nice way to decorate a long piece, is to pile up the books as long as you want, mixed with some modern mushroom rooms. So my very favorite part of the room is this chandelier from the Hudson Valley Lighting Group. I love the way that it adds presence. It's just spectacular. One thing that they advertised about it is that it's perfectly imperfect, and each of those little glass tubes is hand painted, and it's not a straight line. It's kind of very organic feeling, and I love that in design, when it feels like things are just natural and evolve, have like this evolution and flow to it. So this is our dining room, and it's probably the most eclectic room in our house, and also one of the first that we did. This is Milton & King wallpaper, and I love a statement-making wallpaper in a dining room, and I think this fits the bill perfectly. We have, actually my kids counted at one time, 33 animals in this wallpaper. Whether that's true or not, I haven't fact-checked. But you can look, I think it's inspired by South America. We've paired it with Interior Blue by Farrow & Ball, which I think adds a nice level of sophistication to this vibrant color. It used to be white, and I thought it would be fun to mix it up and try something new. We did this molding on the ceiling, yes. It was a fun design, and my contractor actually has some credit for coming up with the construction of it. I can't take all the credit. This is a new lighting fixture that we just installed. It is from Christorama. I like, again, that it's perfectly imperfect. It has these almost icicle-like elements to it. And I have to say, I did this floral arrangement. I'm kind of proud of myself. I just learned how, so I'm just saying. I'll get better with time, but for me, as a starter, this is pretty good. We have some, this right here is inherited from my family. The silver it was my grandma's, and I love that. It makes me think of her every time that I eat here. And some china that we picked up in England. While we were there, we would go to this town called Stoke-on-Trent, which is kind of the, maybe the world factory. At one point, I think now maybe not quite so much selection as it once had, but the military spouses would make trips where we'd all go together, we'd buy tons of china, and so I have service for some ridiculous amount, like 30, because we could. So I have an eclectic mix of chairs at the moment because this room is ever evolving. We had a different table and chair set here up until 2 weeks ago. I have plans for something even different coming up soon. But these are some vintage Milo Bogman chairs that I reupholstered myself. Don't look too closely, but I did it while sitting at my children's soccer games over a course of a whole soccer season. So it's a lot of memories, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that one. So I'd like to invite you to our laundry room. This space was kind of a hot mess. It was just the washer and dryer and nothing else. We installed uppers because I needed the extra space. So these are upper cabinets, but I knew that that would feel too deep for this, especially for a small room. So my workaround was to wallpaper everything else in the space the same so that it visually disappears. It's great. I have all that extra storage, and I don't think it's an eyesore like it was before it was wallpapered. I have a unique piece here by an artist out of Oregon, and these beautiful little lucite handles, which I love. I think they are M-Tech. And one of my very favorite parts of this space is, again, some Cambria. I love it. I beat it up and it's still holding up really well. Love our washer and dryer set as well. These are GE and they don't mold, which is something that I was really concerned about, having a front loading washer and dryer. These have a vent system. It's great.
Whoever thought laundry could be so fun, or she?
Well, I wish I could say that I was better at it. So this piece freaks out my kids, but I adore him because he reminds me of my Grandpa Charles. In fact, I think someday when I'm old, I might look a little bit like this man. But he adds soul, he adds character, and he looks great as the first thing that you walk in when you see, unless you're asking my kids. So this is our bedroom, and we love it. The overall vibe here is this very soft, feminine look, which I was afraid my husband would dislike. He's cool with it. It's no big deal. But this is setting plaster, Farrow and Ball setting plaster. And we have molding that took forever to do. Interestingly, if I ever sell this house, I wanted this molding on this side of the wall to be the same as the one over there. But I wanted something behind the bed that was a feature wall. I did not want to chop it up and put it inside each of these smaller molding squares. So instead I built, using plywood and wood, a frame to go behind, and then I wallpapered that instead and framed it out. I used to be craftier. Now that I design for my own clients, I have less time to do DIY, but I do love it. I do love being able to think through a problem, make it solve it. So we have lots of layers, lots of textures. I have kind of this Art Deco bed, this beautiful chandelier from Corbett Lighting, and this fun little funky postmodern bench that I upholstered years ago. And I love this little pinstripe on the bed because it feels kind of like a little French girl to me. This piece right here, I'm very proud of the fact that I found it at a British auction for £10. Kind of proud of that. That's amazing. These overscale lamps used to be, get this, the shades used to be fuzzy, like furry, like almost an animal. And so I ripped that off and I redid them. Part of me wishes I still had that to show you because it's just really hard to explain, but I added something that just visually went with the room a lot better than gold furry lampshades. So I do love this mirror. We picked it up while stationed in Rhode Island, and it is this really kind of over-the-top piece that adds instant glamour to any room that I've hung it in. And it's a decent-sized scale that kind of holds its own in this little vignette over here. We've never lived in a house for more than 2 to 3 years, other than this one. Every one of my 4 kids was born in a different location, a different state, which is great, but this one felt like coming home. I did have a kid born here, the last one, and we've had babies born here. Now I'm gonna cry again. Babies born here. So I guess it really is, for me, about the memories.
Thanks for watching. For more Homeworthy content, be sure to like and subscribe.